Montenegro is a beautiful small country on the Adriatic Sea. Now, I think this is a good market to invest in as far as real estate is concerned. But in particular, Montenegro, you have to target the areas where you invest. So I firstly want to give you 10 reasons why I think Montenegro is a good market for real estate investment. And then I will give you the areas where I think you should and shouldn't invest in. So let's get down to the 10 reasons why I think it's potentially a good real estate market. Number one, tourism. Tourism has been growing quite steadily in Montenegro over the last 10-15 years. So back in 2006, you had less than 1 million visitors a year. By 2019, this had grown to over 2.5 million visitors. And bear in mind too, most visitors are still from Serbia and Russia. So there is a wealth of opportunity for the tourism industry to grow. Visitors are starting to come in from Asia, mainland Europe, and the US. But this so far is a very, very small number of people. I'm one of them, but I actually think once people go and the word really does spread, the tourism will really boom over the next 10 to 15 years. Number two, Montenegro is quite a stable country. In 2017, it joined NATO, and in 2025, it's expected to join the European Union. Number three, despite not being in the European Union yet, its currency is actually in euro. So what does that mean? That means when you're buying in Montenegro, you're buying into a very, very stable currency, and you don't have currency fluctuation risk, or at least not as much. Number four, Montenegro has been growing quite steadily over the last few years, and in 2018 you saw an excellent growth of 4.7%, and 2019 4.5%. It's expected obviously to contract this year, 2020, because of COVID-19, but all things considered, it's an economy that is growing. Unemployment too has been coming down over the last few years, but it is still quite high at over 14%. Now, number five, Montenegro is a lot cheaper than Croatia. So typically in places like Dubrovnik, beautiful places, you're going to pay about 4,500 to 5,000 euros per square meter. In Montenegro, you will pay half that, or sometimes even less. Number six, taxes in general in Montenegro are very low. So capital gains tax is only 9%. Rental income tax is only 9%. And corporation tax is only 9%. Now, there are very few countries where all these taxes are less than 10%, but Montenegro is one of them. So I make this as another good reason for investing in Montenegro. Also too, annual property tax is usually less than 0.5% of the value of the property, which is lower than most countries as well. Number seven, if you invest in the right area of Montenegro, you can get good yields, often about 5%, 5.5%, even 6%. And bearing in mind that the tax is quite low, you can easily get 4 to 5% net yield on a property in an area which I'll tell you about in Montenegro. Number eight, the purchase costs, but this is only for existing property, are not too bad. You will just pay a transfer fee of 3%, and you'll pay some lawyers' fees, notary fees, which on average could be 300 to 500 euros. Maximum you'll pay is usually 800 to 1,000 euros. Real estate agent fees are not paid by the buyer, they're paid by the seller, and these can vary between 3 to 6%. The only bad thing here is that there is a 21% VAT, which on new property. So 21% VAT of the purchase price on new property. And that is a bit of a bad thing, I have to say. It's not good. Number nine, Montenegro is very, very pro-business. So it's fairly easy to set up a company in Montenegro. And Montenegro actively encourages foreign investment. And number 10, there's a young population in Montenegro. So it's very young, multilingual, very talented and very bright. And that means a bright future for the country. So I've given you 10 reasons why I think it's a good market to invest in. But where do you invest in? Now, normally I say pretty much always you invest in the capital and downtown. But Montenegro's capital, Podgorica, has a fairly small population of about 150,000 people, and it's not an amazingly business place or happening place. And there is a lot of area around the city where you can invest. So I would not invest in Podgorica. It's just not a dynamic capital whatsoever. Now, going to the coast, you could invest in Budva, but although Budva is very much alive in the summer, you get a lot of Serbian, Russian tourists. It really caters for the middle class tourists. It's pretty dead in autumn and winter, and indeed early spring. It's not really an all-round year destination, so if you want to rent a property there, it may be a bit difficult. And I think prices around there are overhyped. I was there last year in 2019, and places which were 15-20 meters from the beach, I saw real estate agents asking for about 2,500 to 3,000 euros per square meter. Even if you can get it a bit lower, I do feel that's a little bit overpriced, and there's a lot of building going on around Budva and building high as well, and it seems to be easy to build everywhere around there, so I would be inclined to avoid Budva. Now, the two places where I think you should invest are the following. Number one is Kotor. Kotor is absolutely one of the most beautiful places I've been to. The old town is just amazing. I think because all the cruise ships arrive in Kotor, they tend to get tourists, but they tend to get tourists even outside of the summer season, whereas Budva tends to be a little bit more summer concentrated. Kotor, there seems to be tourists there, if not in the winter, but you tend to get them more in the spring and the autumn months as well. I would invest in the old town because the old town is small, and I think there's a limited space. So if you do invest there or around there, I think your property will go up as the country becomes more known. The second place I would invest is Tivat. Now, Tivat is actually where the airport is, and there's been a lot of development. But what I mean development, you have a place called Porto Montenegro, which is a fantastic area of beautiful high-end luxury buildings with a marine and a yacht, which is the equivalent of anywhere, even of somewhere like Monaco. You don't feel as though you're in a country which is not particularly rich. That area has been really targeted by the wealthy, and it's developed. It's near the airport. It has 2 international schools as well. And listen to this as well. There is quite a lot of work around there, and you see a highly educated local population that lives there as well. So not only have you got the potential to rent to tourists, you can rent year round to locals, and I'm reliably informed you can get at least 4% net. So although Tivat is probably not as well known as Budva or Kotor, I think it's possibly the number one place to invest because you've got locals as well as rich people, and it's the place, Porto Montenegro, where the investment is literally 5 minutes from the airport. And Tivat, the number of flights coming into Tivat is rising all the time. I mean, you can even fly directly from Tivat to Dubai, and in a country where there's only 600,000 people, that's pretty amazing. So in some ways, although Podgorica is the capital, I kind of feel as though the heart of Montenegro coming in is Tivat, and the most beautiful area is the Bay of Kotor, and Kotor itself is absolutely amazing. So I do think that these are the two places. So I'll repeat them again: Kotor Old Town, or anywhere around the Kotor area, or Tivat. These are the two places I would invest. Anyway, just one other thing before I go. A little bit of a disadvantage is just make sure you check the title deeds with a good lawyer. I know that there have been problems in the past with title deeds, so please do absolutely get yourself a good lawyer. Check that all that is in order before going ahead and purchasing. Otherwise, I do think Montenegro and these two particular areas I've mentioned are a good place to invest. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you're interested in Montenegro or you've invested, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.